The University of Northern Colorado took time this past week to recognize one of the school's most meaningful pioneers.
And we have an update on a wave-making story from last week. You might not have to pack up your swimsuit just yet. This is Bear News.
Thank you for tuning in this week to Bear News. My name is Zoe Campbell.
And I'm Tanner Schwint.
The hashtag #MeToo movement shed light on the topic of sexual harassment and assault, and the conversation hasn't slowed down. A special guest speaker came to UNC this week to bring another take on the topic. Dr. Jackson Katz visited campus as part of the Daniels Fund Ethics Initiative. He addressed the tough conversation of gender violence issues and the role of bystanders. Women's leadership and the system of violence were big themes of the night. He argued that the root of the system of violence is a man's issue that has visible effects on all genders. The packed room of students and faculty took notes about the power and impact of language and other solutions to combat gender violence. For more information about Dr. Katz's work, head to JacksonKatz.com. In honor of Black Heritage Month, the university hosted a journey back in time to tell the legacy of UNC's first Black graduate. Reporter Courtney Lockie had a chance to sit in on the event last Wednesday.
I'm here at Michener Library as people get ready to hear of the legacy of UNC's first African-American graduate, Lucille Buchanan. History overlooked Buchanan, but the University of Colorado's Dr. Polly McLean did not. Nearly a century after Buchanan's alma mater prohibited her from walking across the stage to accept her diploma, she is finally being recognized for her accomplishments. After a decade of research, McLean's book, Remembering Lucille, A Virginia Family's Rise from Slavery and a Legacy Forged a Mile High, was published last May.
I became interested in Lucille's story when I got an article that said the first Black graduate of the university was buried in an unmarked grave, and I couldn't understand because people who were buried in unmarked graves were slaves. So that put me on the challenge and allowed me to try to investigate it, which is what I did.
McLean's research included evidence from archives and public records, but the bulk of it came from her traveling around the states talking with people who knew the Buchanan family. Buchanan, the daughter of emancipated slaves, was born in 1884 in a shed in Denver. In 1905, she became the first African American to graduate with a 2-year degree from UNC. And in 1918, she was the first Black woman to graduate from CU. After a long career as a school teacher, she lived in Denver until her death in 1989 at age 105. Throughout her lifetime, Buchanan fought for equal rights for both colored people and women. She broke limits and led the way for many other African American females. Without McLean's investigative work, Buchanan's story would have been lost in history. McLean's attributes to Buchanan's life are long overdue. As Black Heritage Month comes to an end here at UNC, this is a great way to celebrate. Reporting from Michener Library, I'm Courtney Lockie, Bear News.
Even though Black Heritage Month is ending, Buchanan's story is something that should be celebrated year-round.
Popping a tab, filling up from the tap, or twisting off the cap. For a lot of us, our thoughts about beer end once we take that first sip. I mean, should there be more thought to it? UNC Brewing Science thinks so. The Brewing Science program hosts several beer sensory courses about the different varieties of beer throughout the year. And yes, you do have to be 21 or older. The topic for February was Indian Pale Ales and General Pale Ales. The class began with a history lesson. Assistant University brewer Sean Johnson teaches the course about how pale ales came to be, what makes a pale ale, and how to identify what type of pale ale you might be sipping. And speaking of sipping, they encourage students to taste test throughout the lecture.
Talk amongst yourself, and we'll talk kind of as a room about what does that brewery think that a pale ale and an IPA, like what's the difference between the two?
Johnson invites Northern Colorado breweries that are often less accessible to his students than Greeley breweries just around the corner. This month he invited Loveland Ale Works. Founder and head brewer Nick Calloway used to attend UNC, where he often made his own home brews in his downtime.
I love hoppy pale beer. When you go to the liquor store, you look at a whole cooler. It's like hoppy pale, and then you got stout and porter over here. Small section, brown ales.
The next course is about German styles of beer with Zwei Brewing from Fort Collins. But if you're looking abroad to sip your beer, there is a summer course in England about the topic.
Heads up UNC, some new community programs are coming. Representatives from various departments and cultural centers gave presentations to Student Senate yesterday to make their bid for student programming allocations. SPA is a funding program governed by the Senate that supports new events and initiatives around campus. Student trustee Malika Michelle Fuller said SPA is designed to foster innovation within the campus community. In order to be considered, the cultural centers must explain how their ideals will serve a need that's not being met. Individual programs may only be funded through SPA 3 times. Student Senate votes on distribution of money later this semester.
As Dreamer Awareness Month came to a close, the Cesar Chavez Cultural Center hosted one final event. Students filed into Lindau Auditorium to see a showing of the HBO documentary Clínica de Migrantes, which follows the story of Dr. Stephen Larson and his work at Puentes de Salud, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to giving immigrant populations access to health care and education. After the film, Larson himself took the stage to answer student questions. He addressed his personal background, the challenges of running the operation, and the importance of educators to minority children. For an in-depth summary of the event, visit our partners at uncmir.com. We've all painted for fun, but what about painting to raise food for students on campus? As Bear News reporter Renee Ortiz tells us, Bear Pantry joined with the journalism department to do just that.
To bring more awareness about food insecurity at UNC, the journalism campaign class joined with Bear Pantry to put the Paint for Pantry event on. Students in the class began working on this project at the start of this semester. Students only met once a week, so a lot of this event was planned outside of class. Students collaborated with Professor Amy Wrights, the Communication and Journalism Department, Bear Pantry, the Art Department, and received several donations from places all around Greeley. To get into the event, participants had to bring 2 non-perishable items for a donation. Paint for Pantry brought in the most donations Bear Pantry has ever received from a single event.
This event is really important for Bear Pantry just because we've felt extra impact from the government shutdown. We get our food in on Wednesdays, and by Fridays our pantry is completely bare and we're having to turn students away, and it's not even the end of the week. So come Monday, we have nothing in the pantry and we don't get that next grocery haul until Wednesday. So these students are going hungry and we can't really offer them anything besides outside resources.
While 2 donations may seem small, it makes a world of difference to a hungry student. Reporting from Candelaria Hall, I'm Renee Ortiz reporting for Bear News.
Now this event is over, but students all over campus need help with their next meal. And Bear Pantry can use more donations to help more and more students throughout the year. So be sure to donate if you can. Last week we told you about a local facility closing a pool. Well, things have changed since then.
And if you have a furry friend, it's hard to imagine living life without him. UNC ensures you don't have to. More on that and more coming up.
Kids will spend 8 minutes decorating their little brother.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Last week, the status of the only warm water pool in Greeley was, well, wishy-washy. Now, like the water, the pool's status is clear. The Greeley Center for Independence Board overseeing the Hope Warm Water Pool has decided to keep the pool open. Hope Pool is now on the hunt for other methods of sustainability. Rob Cassidy spoke to Bear News about the pool his mom worked so hard to pioneer. In a phone interview, Cassidy said, "The best thing about the pool is it has a very broad sense of therapy and healing." Public outrage sparked a unanimous change in heart from the board, a change of heart that Cassidy admires. All is not perfect, though. Lack of lifeguard staffing has altered regular pool hours. Be sure to head to gcinc.org for updates regarding pool hours and sustainability solutions.
Home is where your dog is, and that's a motto many bears live by. UNC is such a great place for our furry friends that College Magazine has recognized the university as the 5th most pet-friendly college of 2018, with a special shout-out for Lawrence and Hall's pet policies. In the 11 dog parks around Greeley, UNC makes sure our pups are just as comfortable as us. College Magazine is not the only publication to recognize UNC's pet friendliness. The university has been named by Lend EDU and College Rank as well. The UNC Mirror is now 100 years old. Yes, UNC's campus newspaper continues to thrive despite being here for a century. Bear News reporter Alex Ekstead went to the Mirror's off-campus location and saw how the paper is commemorating this tremendous occasion.
On February 28, 1919, the UNC Mirror published its first issue. Now, 100 years later, this paper is still going strong. The Mirror is UNC's student-run newspaper and online print publication, which distributes around 2,500 paper copies across UNC and Greeley each month. General Manager and Advisor Matt Lubitsch talked about working for the paper as a reporter and a news editor back in the 80s.
I don't really remember any particular stories, but what I remember is, once again, the day-to-day operation of the newspaper. Back when I was at the Mirror in the 80s, we were a 3-time-a-week newspaper. We came out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so it was like working at, almost a daily newspaper.
For the 100th birthday, the staff is making a special edition to celebrate. Much of this issue is based on remembering past events and staff members.
What we've been trying to do for about a little over a month now, is trying to contact Mirror alumni from more recent, from like 2015, 2016 to late 90s, to tell us their stories of working here, some of their favorite staff memories.
The editors also went through Missioner Library's digital archives, which have every issue of the Mirror. Through their efforts, the staff found stories about the 2 world wars, the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, the Pentagon Papers, and more. The Mirror even sued UNC twice throughout its history. Managing editor Mary Harbert said that this issue isn't just about the history of this newspaper, but also the history of the campus.
If the Mirror lasts another 100 years, and hopefully it does, we're well aware that they'll be referring to this issue. So, no pressure, it's fine. So
Hopefully, this issue will be one for the books.
The Mirror's 100th anniversary issue is out now. These newspapers are available for free in many newspaper dispensers around campus.
We have lots of talented students on campus and a talented co-host up here that got to anchor this. And a handful showcased their skills during the annual UNC's Got Talent event last week. And as Brittany Martinez tells us, they performed for a full house.
Students flooded one of the ballrooms in the University Center for the annual UNC's Got Talent event. Senior Zoe Campbell hosted the event and did not fail in keeping the audience entertained. The featured students performed a range of talents from singing to comedy to dancing. The show started with 9 contestants, which dropped to 6 when the audience was asked to text in their votes. 6 contestants dwindled to 3 finalists after another round of audience voting. Freshman Jason Lowing performed an original song for his final performance. Senior Tia Roundy took to the stage with 2 hula hoops to impress the crowd, while sophomore Armani Porty performed a dance routine to a song from the 2017 film The Greatest Showman. The final winner was decided by Student Body President Tim Hernandez, Student Trustee Malika Michelle Fuller, and Senior Sarah Methuselah. Campbell brought the 3 finalists on stage and announced Lowing is the winner. There was a brief shock on his face, but he quickly raised his ukulele in victory. He described what was going through his head after hearing he won.
Oh man, it's a feeling like no other. It's really nice to see support for my music. It's amazing to me that I have friends here that are willing to listen to my music, and it means a lot.
Reporting from the University Center, I'm Brittany Martinez, Bear News.
The UPC's next event will be Night at the Crest on March 18th for a showing of On the Basis of Sex. You can visit their website to reserve your spot. Poetry might not be the most popular type of literature, but the poems by one poet filled the Panorama Room at UNC. Joy Sawyer performed a selection of poems to students last Wednesday evening, reading from 2 of her published books. She said that American poetry trends to be cynical, and the sentimental themes of her work helped her to get published. Joy's poetry focuses on family members and told heartfelt tales of love. Afterwards, students asked her questions about her work and life as a poet. The event was the third and final part of the 3-day Rosenberry's Writers Conference. The theme for this year was Writing Against the Edge. UNC holds the conference every year to inspire student writers, that is.
When you Google the term Native American, most of the images come back as leathered faces of old chiefs. But Native Americans have a modern story to tell. Matika Wilbur tries to share this narrative through her photography. She talked about her experiences to students at UNC Tuesday night. Matika began a project 7 years ago to document all tribes across the United States. The undertaking is called Project 562, after the number of federally recognized tribes in the United States. She told students some of her favorite stories and experiences from the project that helped shape her. Matika documented the events of Standing Rock and the Dakota Pipeline. She also spoke about gay communities in the tribes, the bullying young natives face, and sexual assault of indigenous women. Matika works to foster belonging in tribes while telling the story of modern American Indians. She encouraged students to listen to her podcast, All My Relations, which launched Tuesday. Her podcast co-host Adrienne Keene speaks about cultural appropriation tonight at Kepner Hall. Doors open at 5:30. Coming up after the break, Renee Ortiz has another health tip of the week.
And one Bear News reporter has been truly suffering. To bring you a story from, New Orleans. About what? Mardi Gras. Okay, maybe suffering wasn't the right word, but more about that after this.
All right, give me a spot. You know my motto, safety first.
They could be dangerous. I think we should call animal control.
Animal control?
To be safe.
Don't worry.
Just...
I got this. It's a new motto.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Here's your check.
Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. No?
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
With spring break coming up, students have to push through one more week of midterms before getting a well-deserved break. So, to help us get through this last week, Bear News reporter Renee Ortiz joins us to give her health tip of the week.
Thanks, Tanner. Well, midterms are upon us, and that means one thing: lots and lots of study time. That usually goes hand in hand with late-night cramming and long days of tests. With this in mind, my health tip for the week is this: don't over-caffeinate yourself. It seems there are places all over campus where you can get a double shot, triple tall coffee with whip, and with good reason. Coffee and tea give us that energy we need to make it through our 8 a.m. class or that late-night study binge. But over-caffeinating yourself can cause serious issues with your sleeping patterns, blood pressure, and can lead to heart issues. And while that caffeine rush is great for that hour and a half to 2 hours of energy, sooner or later you're going to crash. This causes students to drink more caffeine to stay energized, and that burns through all of your body's natural sugars. Now, caffeine in moderation isn't a problem. Healthy adults can drink up to 400 milligrams of caffeine in a day. Or in layman's terms, that's 2 12-ounce cups of coffee or 8 cups of black tea a day. Coffee and tea are natural sources of healthy caffeine. Just make sure you stay away from energy drinks and energy shots. So be a good bear and don't crash in class. Back to you, Tanner.
Thanks as always, Renee. We would also like to wish everyone a safe spring break. Join us after the break is over for more health tips on how to stay healthy during midterms and beyond. Another week in Colorado and March spells more snow and more cold. But what can students staying in the Colorado area expect? Meteorologist Matthew tells us just that.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm meteorologist Matthew O'Burke. Looking at our current temperatures, we can see today that temperatures are getting a little bit warmer than last week. We can see down south we have temperatures ranging from the low 60s to low 70s range. Up north, temperatures are a lot colder. We can see in the northwest, temperatures are ranging from low 30s to mid 40s. And in the northeastern region, we see temperatures ranging from low to mid teens. Now in the northern Colorado area where we are, we can see temperatures are ranging from the high 30s to mid 40s range as well. Now transitioning to our current fronts, we could see in the Rocky Mountain area, we can see later this afternoon, it is likely that we'll have some precipitation and possibility of thunderstorm activity as well. As we transition to tomorrow morning, we can see this low pressure system that has developed from the Pacific and is now moving east, bringing a lot of moisture, which is causing precipitation that will likely happen in the Great Basin and Rocky Mountain regions. And on Saturday morning, as that low pressure system moves east, we see a lot of moisture is being brought up from the Gulf of Mexico, and so we could expect right here in this area possibility of heavy showers, and even some thunderstorm activity is likely as well. Now transitioning to our tomorrow morning forecast, we see around 8 a.m. Temperatures will be sitting at around 23 degrees here in Greeley, and as the day progresses at around noon, it'll rise to around 38 degrees. Later that afternoon, we'll see a high of 45 degrees and a possibility of light showers that afternoon as well. Transitioning now to our 7-day forecast, we see that temperatures are pretty consistently below average with highs ranging from low 40s to low 50s and lows from low 20s to mid 20s. Weather is pretty consistently partly cloudy with likely possibility of showers on Friday and on Tuesday. We'll have more on the weather as the week progresses. Back to you.
A lot of parades with a side of rain. Count me in. Roughly 1.4 million people travel to New Orleans for Mardi Gras festivities every year. Bear News reporter Betty Casa is one of them and brings us more from New Orleans.
Thousands of people travel to New Orleans for Mardi Gras festivities, which includes parades, food, and some good music. 177 years ago, New Orleans had their first Mardi Gras parade. As parades happen throughout the years, Mardi Gras marks the end of parade season. While people wait for many more parades, they walk up and down Bourbon Street listening to street music and catching some beads. Tashin Miner, a New Orleans resident, tells us about her experience with Mardi Gras.
There's so much that I can say I like about Mardi Gras, but my favorite would probably be just everyone getting together, having a good time.
Martha Bea tells us about her first Mardi Gras too.
Yeah, so we got to observe a few of the parades, which was really fun because they'll throw out beads and you get to catch them, or even just walking down Bourbon, you know, there's no way you're gonna start at the top of Bourbon and make it all the way down without at least 20 beads on your neck.
Reporting from New Orleans, I'm Betty Casa, Bear News.
That looks like lots of fun, Betty. I hope you caught enough beads for the both of us. If the names Nick, Joe, and Kevin bring back fond memories from your childhood, then this bit of news is going to really excite you. Yes, after a 6-year hiatus, the boy band The Jonas Brothers is finally back together. The group released its new single Sucker this past week, and fans are pretty excited. So Bear News reporter Alex Ekstead went on campus to ask students their thoughts in this week's Question of the Week.
Today, I'm asking students, what are your thoughts on the Jonas Brothers getting back together?
I'm so excited.
Not gonna lie, when I was younger, I liked them, so now that they're back, it's pretty cool. It's really exciting for me.
I was a Joe Bro fan for like the longest time, and now they all got hotter, so it's really good. It's really good. Yeah.
I did a dance to one of their songs when I was in the 1st grade, so I'm very excited that they're back.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I listened to their song this morning. Ooh, I love it. They need to come back. I've been waiting forever.
I don't really listen to them. I know girls are with them, you know. Girls are down for them.
I listened to the song, and it's pretty good. I mean, they didn't have like a big fallout, so I guess it's good. And I'm excited to see what music they have.
The family bands are like my favorite type of bands, and I like the Jonas Brothers, but also I'm not all that interested because they were never my favorite band.
Oh man, I'm excited. I hope I get to a concert or something.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Yeah, they made good music, so I think they're gonna be good.
I didn't know that they were getting back together. It's not really my style of music, but I'm sure that a lot of girls who loved them when they were young are pretty excited.
Reporting from outside McKee Hall, I'm Alex Ekstead, Bear News.
This is great news. I mean, I would have never thought they would come back together, and this is like all of my childhood dreams come true. So who's your favorite Jonas brother? If you have one.
Couldn't name one.
Nick,
Nick?
Joe, Jonas, no?
What is a Nick Jonas?
Nick Jonas, he's married to Priyanka Chopra. She's a very beautiful actress. Nothing. That's okay. Well, I'll answer for you. I like Nick. He likes Joe. There we go.
I think that was an insult somewhere. Both the men's and women's basketball teams set program records over the weekend and picked up 2 big conference wins on the way.
And the swim and dive team competed at the WAC championship in Houston, but how did they fare?
Don't go anywhere. Courtney Lockie has all the highlights and more coming up in sports.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. As a parent, you want to make sure that your child knows how to deal with bullying when they see it happening. And chances are they want to help, but they don't really know how. Well, teach them that the best thing to do is calmly walk away, find a teacher or other adult, and speak up. And do your part. Be that adult they can talk to and trust will listen. Join me to help stop bullying. Go to stopbullying.gov to find out more.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
The UNC men's basketball team set a program record for Big Sky wins after dominating Weber State and Idaho State this weekend. After losing to Weber on the road earlier in the season, the Bears came out hot in the first half to take the lead 40-29. Things got away from Weber quickly when UNC went on a 10-0 run sparked by Trent Harris and his 8 points. The Bears never looked back, pushing their lead to 16, and it never got any smaller than that. Jordan Davis posted his 5th 30-point game of the season and now has 2,188 points in his career. The victory earned the Bears a first-round bye in the Big Sky tournament and set a program record for single-season conference wins with 13. Make that 14 with the 71-62 win over Idaho State. Davis came on late to finish with a game-high 20 points. Freshman Bodie Hume chipped in 15. Although the Bears' offense proved strong, the wins wouldn't have happened without the team's stellar defense led by Jonah Radabaugh and his 24 rebounds over the weekend. The Bears continued their winning ways last night as they defeated Southern Utah, pushing their winning streak to 4. Northern Colorado is down to its final regular season game. The Bears return home for senior night against Northern Arizona on Saturday. The women followed the men's lead, defeating 2 tough conference opponents and made some history of their own along the way. The Bears went on the road this past week to play against Idaho State and Weber State and won both of those games to keep their second-place spot in the Big Sky. Starting with Idaho State on Thursday, UNC needed a 13-point comeback to grab the win against the Bengals. To no surprise, Savannah Smith put up big numbers in the game, scoring 33 points and played a key role in the Bears' comeback win. Smith scored 14 of the 18 points in the third quarter to put the Bears in good position in the fourth quarter. UNC showed grit and determination on defense and added some scoring to go on a 6-0 run to tie the game. They finally took the lead on Michaela Eisenbart's post-up move to lay the ball in and win the game 61-59. Their energy continued 2 days later at Weber State as the Bears beat the Wildcats 75-61. It was a historic game as Savannah Smith became the all-time leading scorer for the UNC women's basketball program. She now has 1,898 points in her career. Smith's teammate Allie Meyer also had a memorable night. She surpassed the 300 rebounds for the season, and that's second all-time mark in program history. Meyer had 11 rebounds in this game. As a team, the Bears defense kept Weber State to just 4 of 19 shooting from the field and 1 for 7 from the three-point range in the fourth quarter. The Bears hope that their success continues this week as they have senior night this Thursday at 7 against Southern Utah. If there's one thing North Dakota and UNC baseball players have in common, it's being used to a little snow. The Bears took on the Bisons this weekend for a series that got cut short by, you guessed it, the winter storm. The Bears started rough in the first game. As the top of the fifth ended, the Bears were behind 6-1. But the thought of another loss on their record set a fire in the Bears, who went on a 5-run tear. Tied and entering the bottom of the ninth, pitcher Sam Leach gave a single hit a single to give freshman Hayden Hines their first win of the season and a walk-off home victory. The Bears rode that high into the doubleheader Friday as pitcher Isaac Bracken held the Bisons to just 1 run. The Bears ended that game with a 3-1 victory. Late Saturday, the Bears caught fire as a scoring barrage by both the Bisons and the Bears led to back and forth on offense. But as the snow began to fall, the Bears' bats froze up. The Bisons continued their tirade of runs and finished with an 11-5 victory. Snow forced cancellation on the weekend's final game. Weather also canceled the series at Creighton University, meaning that the next time that the Bears take the field is tomorrow in Oregon against the University of Portland. Taking a look at swim and dive, the team beat its highest ever rank at the WAC Championships by finishing in 3rd place in the event held in Houston, recording a team high of 503.5 points, and the 2018 and 2019 team joins the 2014-2015 team to qualify in 3rd place at the WAC Championships. The team had 16 top 8 finishes and set records in the 100 free with a 2nd place finish with a time of 49.32 seconds. Freshman Maddie Moore then competed in the 400 relay on Saturday, where she led off the event and was a part of the 1st place finishing team. UNC comes home for a few weeks to prepare for the CSCAA National Invitational on March 14th through the 16th. The Bears have 22 entries to the Invitational. Although the swim and dive team was able to find some success over the weekend, the softball team was not as fortunate. The UNC softball team took a trip to Arizona, but it was no vacation. The team played in the Lopes Up Classic, bringing home a 1 win in a 5-game tournament. The Bears snagged a 7-6 win over Idaho State to kick off the tournament. Haley Swanson hit her first career home run, putting the Bears up 4-0. The Bears had their best inning of the year with 7 runs on 6 hits, but it all went downhill from there. The Bears just couldn't keep the momentum going. UNC lost the rest of the games to South Dakota, Utah, Iowa State, and Grand Canyon University. Maybe a new state will bring better luck. Next time, the Bears traveled to Lubbock, Texas to play in the Janine McCanney Classic. And finally tonight, the women's tennis team suffered their first home loss of the season this weekend, falling 5-2 to Northern Arizona. But the Bears bounced back Sunday to pick up their first conference win in a thrilling 5-2 victory over Montana State. NAU proved tough in the match, taking the doubles point by winning the number 1, 2, and 3 pairings. The Bears' only win on the day came from number 2, Rafa Mora, and number 6, Sinclair Larson. But when Sunday rolled around, the Bears came out fighting. Number 3 doubles, Sandra Kita and Serena Chabra led the way for the Bears to win the doubles point and take a 6-4 victory. The Bobcats responded by taking a hard-fought victory over number 1, Anna Battersby, in the 3rd set tiebreaker, as well as a win over number 4, Madeline Doherty. But Mora pushed back to win her 3rd set tiebreaker to tie things up for the Bears. The clinching point came from Larson. She dropped her first set 4-6, but came back to defeat her opponent 6-3, 6-2. Chabra finished things off for the Bears with a 3-set win that put the team on top. Yesterday, the Bears faced off against North Carolina Greensboro, but were unable to come out on top, falling 0-7. After the weekend, the Bears moved to 4-7 on the season and 1-4 in conference. The Bears are back in action Saturday when they take on Oral Roberts University.
Well, we've got next week off from classes with spring break, but a lot of action going on in the sports world. The Big Sky Championships going on.
And as we just talked about for our swim team, they're going to be competing in the CSCAA Championships as well.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. Hopefully they have a great spring break competing for UNC, and hopefully you all have great spring breaks as well.
Right?
Yeah.
We're going to be out there partying while they're still.
Yeah.
No.
So that does it for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.
One more piece of advice. This Sunday, daylight savings time goes into effect.
Yes.
So be sure to spring ahead 1 hour. And remember, Bear News is your source for all things UNC all the time. Have a great spring break. We'll talk to you then.